Jay, that's strangely close to Daniel Jones from the Giants. Daniel, is that you? Beat the Chiefs. Show me. If the Broncos and Russell Wilson can show me that they can beat the Chiefs, then I will start believing.
The crowd up. And so are this defense, and Kansas City won't snap the ball again. The Denver Broncos have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs.
David Montgomery on the Lions, former Bear, gonna make this his revenge game for sure. David Montgomery gets the touchdown that ices the game. No! And there's a flag. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. Snap. Hold. Kick.
Denver wins! Denver wins! Let's go!
They open. No!
What happened? Oh shit.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Only Football. Today, we are going to be doing week 5 predictions in the NFL. There are some teams on a bye week, so we're going to go through all the other games and give you our prediction as to who is going to come out with a win in week 5. And of course, we're going to do our top five of week 5. Kyle and I are going to give you our top 5 rankings of all of our NFL teams going into week 5. Everybody, let's get it. America is football. Football is
America. And if you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass. For the moment in time, I don't give a damn. Oh my god. You love it.
30 to 27. Chiefs win. Chiefs win 30 to 20.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Only Football. I'm Kyle Netrick.
I'm Rick Scott.
And today we go through NFL Week 5 picks, predictions, what we think is going to happen. And I feel like I'm going to have a couple shockers today. We had the 49ers get a win over the Rams yesterday. Mac Jones had incredible words. I recommend you look at the short posted earlier today to see how Mac Jones handled the press conference with the type of game he had. There was questions about whether he could actually earn this job as the full-time starter. But we're going to start off with the 1 o'clock games, and we're going to kick it off with Cleveland and Minnesota. The Browns 1-3 going to London, as are the Vikings. Now, the Vikings, this is one of 2 games the Vikings are going to be playing in London back-to-back. We saw this last year with Jacksonville. I saw today a couple of the players interview on Good Morning Football. They said they feel good. They got their circadian rhythm on track. They feel like they're well rested and ready to go. So the Browns are turning to Dillon Gabriel, who a lot of people thought maybe it would be the Shedeur Sanders show. I got to say, I'm just happy the Browns did it. It was driving me absolutely insane that Joe Flacco was starting in general, because they have 2 first-round picks next year. They need to figure out if they need a quarterback or not, and the only way to do that is to know who Dillon Gabriel is, and Shedeur Sanders if he earns the right to start. We're hearing a lot of weird stuff going on with that. We'll leave that alone for now, but the Vikings, they've spent their week in London sorting through options for the injury-prone offensive line. They got a lot of problems. I don't know if they're going to be able to run the football defensively. I'm going to take the Vikings because I think when you start a rookie quarterback and that quarterback's going against Brian Flores, it's like I'm already in doubt about the game. Let me just pick my favorite matchup, and it's got to be the Vikings defense against Dillon Gabriel.
Yeah, I'm going with the Vikings as well. And everything you said about the defense with Brian Flores, I think it's true. And for Dillon Gabriel, a guy who's going to be making his first start in London against a defense that will prey on a first game starter, I can't see it. I just can't see the Browns coming out on top. And look, the Browns, they had a miracle win against the Packers, and really they haven't looked good at all against anyone else. I don't think London and Dylan Gabriel are going to be more than enough to get them the win over the Vikings. But hey, it's London. It's an overseas game. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm going to take the Vikings -3.5. I think that's good. I can see them win by more, but we've also seen the Browns again come back against the Packers and get those dubs that are pretty lucky dubs. And just real quick, shout out Lil E Jinja and E Dub in the chat. We appreciate you guys being here. So thank you guys for being here. And again, I'm taking the Vikings to win in London, in Tottenham.
Whew, I love it. And the Browns, they've scored 17 or fewer points in 9 straight games dating back to last season. We'll see if a new quarterback can maybe shake that up. All right. We're going to my game of the week. The Denver Broncos hit the road to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. All right. A couple things. Number one, the Eagles are undefeated, and they've won 20 of their last 21 football games. That's insane. The other thing, the Broncos should be undefeated. I know that's not worth a lot, but let me just say this. The Broncos are the only team in the NFL to have not trailed for a single second in the fourth quarter this year.
Wow. Yeah.
Both of their losses came with 0 seconds on the clock. And their losses were against the Colts and the Chargers, 2 really good teams, and they still should have won. And last week, what we saw when Denver played the Bengals was what we should see when a great team goes up against a bad team. I think it does matter how you beat bad teams, and the Broncos were able to do it. They out-yarded. The yardage differential between the Broncos and the Bengals was the most this year in any game. The Broncos put up nearly 500 yards. I think they did put up 500 yards of offense. And the Bengals, after that first drive of the game where they got a field goal, they didn't take another snap in Denver territory, period. They didn't even get on that side of the 50. It was a complete domination. It was the type of game Denver needed, with Bo Nix having some early struggles this year and the confidence maybe a little shaky. We got to remember, second-year quarterback. Like, we're so impressed last year that it's easy for us to get carried away, but it's like, this is a guy in year 2, and you want to see him have a game like that to kind of double down on his confidence. What are we hearing about the Eagles? Everything's A.J. Brown and the struggles that are going on with him and the cryptic tweets post-game, and then he tells the locker room guy he shouldn't have done it, and he was basically taking accountability, which I love that for him. But he's got 2 games with, I think, less than 9 yards receiving, and A.J. Brown is like, something's going on with the offense. And I think that's really what I want to talk about with this game, is that the Eagles are 4-0, but they are not a very great team. They are undefeated, and I'll give them credit for winning their football games, but perhaps they should have lost to the Rams when it was 26-6. Perhaps the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with all the injuries they had, shouldn't have even been competing in that game. Yet there they were with a chance to win it. And the Eagles last year and the year before, their offensive line has been so dominant that if you look at yards before contact, which is a really good representation of how good the offensive line is, the Eagles were always top 3, meaning the running back goes 1.5 yards before he's even getting contacted. That means big holes are opening up on the offensive line. This year, they're 16th in this. And this is part of the reason why Saquon's struggling to run the ball, is because they don't have the offensive line this year that they did. There's something missing with the Eagles. Now, they've found a way to overcome, but called the Broncos an underdog in this game, I wouldn't say that. Like, when Cleveland beat the Packers, that was an upset. This is a good football game between 2 good football teams. I think Denver's undervalued. I think the Eagles are a bit overvalued. And I think this is a great time for Denver to really plant their flag in the ground as one of the best teams in the league. They got to play a complete game. I had a lot of things I could go into about what I didn't like last week. 3 touchdown drops, a lot of points left off the board, dumb penalties. I could go on and on. Denver won't win this game if they don't play a clean football game for 4 quarters. But if they do that and Bo Nix protects the football, I do like Denver's chances to score more points than the Eagles in this game. And that since the Eagles can't really run the football and Jalen Hurts is struggling to throw over the middle of the field, if Denver can get to like a 14-0 lead early in this game and make the Eagles one-dimensional, I do think that's the key to a victory, is a fast start for Denver. When we see in these games, like when they play Buffalo in the playoffs, they got a touchdown in the opening drive. Denver does start fast when they're playing these type of games. So it's getting out there, starting fast, protecting the ball, clean football, 4 quarters. This could be a huge win, perhaps Bo Nix's biggest win as a Bronco.
Yeah, last week, what the Broncos did on, I believe, what was it, Monday Night Football? Oh, it was the doubleheader. That's right. That was a complete win. And yes, it was against Browning and a Bengals team that just is completely out of whack this year. But like you said, these are games that you can take into next week that give you confidence, that maybe give you a better understanding of what you need to do in order to win games against any team. And I liked it because I was like, finally, like the Broncos offense was pretty underwhelming, like the first 3 weeks of the season. And they were 1-2 because of that. And now they're 2-2 at 500, looking for a win, a big win against the Eagles. Again, Bo Nix, that game, it just, everything was working. The wide receivers weren't necessarily dropping big time passes. It just seemed like everything started working. I will say Evan Ingram, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck? He kind of let you guys down last week on Monday Night Football. But regardless from the fact, the Broncos looked a lot better on Monday Night Football, and they can take all of that into this week against the Eagles. Now, the Eagles, on the other hand, they're 4-0. They're undefeated. They've been in some close games, but I got to say, man, their schedule so far has been tough. Yes, Dallas now looks kind of like a fraud type of team, but they did tie against the Packers, which I thought was hilarious. But I think Dallas is definitely nowhere near as good as your Kansas City's, your Rams, or your Bucks. And Kansas City, it's really more the defense. So to me, the Eagles being undefeated with the schedule that they've had, I think it says a lot about them. Yes, we got the A.J. Brown drama going on, but I feel like every year it's like A.J. Brown just wants the ball more, and he should. He's a dynamic guy. And Jalen Hurts, he's got maybe like 300 yards passing like this season. So the offense, I think we've said it through these first 4 weeks of the season, like the offense is just not there. It is not what the Eagles are used to. And even Saquon is struggling a bit. But in Philadelphia, Kyle, I'm sorry, but I do got to go with the Eagles in this one. The Broncos, like you said, though, if they can start off with a big lead, I have a hard time seeing the Eagles come back from that, especially with their offensive woes. But if the Eagles are driving down and you guys are going 1 for 1, touchdown for touchdown, field goal for field goal, a score for a score, I think the Eagles are going to come out with it on top because they are at home and they've played. I don't know. They've played some gritty games that got them to 4-0. All this to say, I'm going to take the Eagles. I think it's going to be a very close, down to the wire game that both of these teams, the Broncos and the Eagles, have played so far throughout the season.
Yeah, it's just exciting whenever you have an opportunity to win a game like this, right? Take on the champs and really plant that flag. I will be leaving at 4 a.m. on Sunday, so I will be back in the studio for kickoff on this game. That is how excited I am for this game. So by the time I'm live for this game, I have been up for like 10 hours. So we got the Texans 1-3 going on the Ravens. Look, they're going to Baltimore. I think that helps the Ravens a lot, but there is no Lamar Jackson. Lamar's hurt. The Ravens are 1-3. They've been struggling lately. Kyle Hamilton's going to be out in this game as well. Roquan Smith has a hamstring. Marlon Humphrey has a calf. There's a lot going on with the Ravens right now. And the Ravens, for what it's worth, are 3-0 against the Texans. So when they've had CJ Stroud. So the Ravens had the upper half, but they're dealing with a lot of injuries. But I don't trust the Texans either. I'm going to take the Ravens and Tyler Huntley with all of the injuries to get it done, because the Ravens are a team that I trust even with everything going on. I think you're going to have a heavy dose of Derrick Henry. I think he's going to record a season high 22 plus rush attempts in this game. And they're going to ask Tyler Huntley to get the ball to Zay Flowers and some of the other weapons. But I still like the Ravens to win this game because of that desperation. And for the Texans, I'm sure they're desperate too, but we're just not seeing good football from CJ Stroud. And I have a hard time betting on them. They're 2.5-point favorites. I'm gonna go with the underdog here and take the Ravens as an underdog at home. I'll take that every time.
Yeah, I don't understand why the Texans are underdogs in Baltimore. I understand why the Ravens aren't getting the love, as much love, but I really don't think that they should be underdogs at home with some of the offensive output they've put out through these first 4 weeks. Yes, their defense is literally a wet napkin, a wet paper napkin. And you could do anything on that defense. Like, the defense right now is not elite, not like it has been the last 2-3 years or so. And they know that, but they all, and that defense is saying, look, the Texans are coming into town. The Texans, the guys who are struggling to get points on the board. Yes, they've had a couple close, good games, and CJ Stroud is like the one that needs to do a lot of that work for them. But it's the Texans, right? Like, that defense is looking at this like, we really have to like buckle down and get back into the playoff race here, because at 1-3, the Ravens are looking like they're not making the playoffs. They're not even in it for the division anymore. This is the week 5. I feel like it is a must win for the Ravens to kind of get back into that conversation of, okay, they're back into a playoff, maybe even division winning mode. And the Texans, we've talked about it. Their defense is elite. It's one of the best defenses in football, but their offense is missing something, whether it is an entirely new offensive line, whether it's a new offensive coordinator. Yeah, it sucks. You need a new offensive coordinator. Maybe it's not working, or whether it's just you need Joe Mixon back because, Chubb just isn't getting it done. There's a lot of questions on that Texans offense, but none so on the defense. This is going to be to me, very close game, but very low scoring game. And at the end of the day, I've got the Ravens winning. I think Lamar Jackson, if he's healthy, I forget I know he had an injury coming out of the game last week. We'll see what his injury designation is. But like you said, I think it's going to be a lot of Derrick Henry. If you can run the ball, establish it, get 3-4 yards per carry, if you're Derrick Henry or whoever, Justice, then you can get the passing game open. All right. So I got to take the Ravens in this one. It's going to be close, but I think it's going to be low scoring, probably low 20s for this game. But I got the Ravens winning.
And Fantasy Nugget, Woody Marks, the Texans been looking for a running back. Nick Chubb, we thought maybe would be the guy. Last week, Woody Marks capitalized, of course, on a favorable matchup against Tennessee, but he had 27.9 fantasy points. So wow. If the Texans have finally found a running back, then maybe they actually get going. But we only have a 1-game sample size. But keep your eye on Woody Marks. He shouldn't be available in your league, but if you can get him off waivers, it's worth taking him and stashing him and seeing what he does this week. Next up, we got the Ravens at the Colts. I'm sorry, the Raiders at the Colts.
I was like, we did that game.
The Raiders, it's so funny. Nick Wright had them coming in second in this division, and he had them as a playoff team. And I just love the Raiders continuing to lose. Like, I swear, if I could just get a dose of the Raiders losing every single day, I would take it. I love it.
I love it.
The Colts are gonna. I think they're gonna roll the Raiders. Now, this is a game where the Colts are 6.5-point favorites. That's not enough for me. I think the Colts are going to. They're going to be at home. They're coming off of a loss. And I think this is one of those games for the Colts to remind the world, like, we're not one of those 3-0 teams that's 5-5 at the 10-point. We're not doing that. Like, we're going to continue to be a really good team. They've had one of the most efficient offenses this season. They're 4th in scoring at 30.8 points per game. And that comes in spite of all of the concerns with their offense in the red zone. There's still a lot of area for improvement, which is kind of scary if the Colts can continue to improve week to week. But the Raiders, their offensive line's coming off its best performance of the season, but it took a huge hit in the process. There's also Ashton Jeanty, who had his biggest game of the year, but they lost their left tackle, Colton Miller, to a high ankle sprain. So, I mean, the Colts are ranked 8th right now in rushing yards allowed per game. Pete Carroll, of course, he loves to run the football, but I don't know if the Colts are going to be, or the Raiders are going to be able to do it. I just don't like the matchup for the Raiders. I think the Colts win in every phase of the game. I think Tyler Warren has a huge game. He's leading all tight ends in receiving yards this season. It would have been cool to have a guy like that. But then Brock Bowers on the other side, he'll record a big game as well. Maybe last year, Brock Bowers is what the Colts have with Tyler Warren. So it's kind of like a fun little tight end battle, I guess. But I'm going to go with the Colts at home to keep on rolling and be a 4-1 team and really separate themselves from the Texans when the Ravens win.
Yeah, and if the game last week against the Bears is any indication, Geno is going to keep throwing bad interceptions. He was just struggling in the red zone, like you mentioned earlier. He was struggling anywhere on the field. It was just interception. He had 3, I think, at the end of it, if not 4. But it's just bad turnovers by Geno. I'm not too sure what's going on with the offense in that sense. And you had mentioned they lost their left tackle too. Like, that's just a recipe for disaster at Indianapolis against the Colts. I think the Colts are going to take advantage of that, and their secondary is going to have a really good day against Geno. But Ashton Jeanty, yeah, watch out for him. I know the Colts are up there, top 10 in terms of rushing yards per game, and the Bears were doing somewhat of a decent job until he ripped off a couple big runs. I think Ashton Jeanty is going to be good for those as well. He kind of reminds me of a much shorter Derrick Henry. Like, he needs like 3-ish yards to really get going. But if you stuff him at the line, I mean, he'll be lucky to get 1 to 2 yards. But the Colts are up there again, like you said, in terms of rushing defense. And I think they're going to be able to stop Jeanty. I mean, he might just get 1 or 2 big runs. But I think I know the Colts are going to beat the Raiders. The Raiders don't want to go to 1-4, but they're going to go to 1-4, and the Colts are going to go to 4-1. Jinja, your Colts are winning, baby boy. Your Colts are winning.
Love it. Big game for the Colts. And unfortunately, this is the kind of game the Raiders go in and win once in a while. So I'm hoping nothing weird happens here. The NFL, it's like, if it seems too easy to predict, it probably is, but I'm going to not overthink it and hammer the Colts with you. Now, The Cowboys, I don't know what's worse, coming off of a tie or not having a win yet, but the Cowboys are going to New York to take on the Jets. The Jets can't do anything right. They are unwatchable.
Yeah.
They were on Monday Night Football, and it was an embarrassment. A lot of people were saying the same thing about the Bengals, which I was offended by that. I took that personal. I was like, hey, but the Broncos were fun, right? I mean, at least it wasn't like the Jets and the Dolphins. At least one team was good in the doubleheader, but the Jets was, oh my God, it was terrible. Now they're not even playing good defense right now, and their head coach is a defensive coach. The one thing I'm looking to see, right, we got Aaron Glenn. He does a lot of press coverage. One matchup that I'm actually really excited about is Sauce Gardner lined up man-to-man with George Pickens the entire day. And that's the way it's going to be, because George Pickens is turning out to be a lot better than we thought, and we already thought he was really good. And I think maybe we've undervalued George Pickens' value to the Cowboys up to this point. George Pickens is looking like he has the potential to be one of those like top 7 receivers, like CeeDee Lamb, Jamar. I'm not kidding right now. And if they get CeeDee Lamb back and that's the way it's going to be, the Cowboys are going to be really good. They just got to figure out what's going on with their defense. They cannot give up 40 points every single week. I called the Packers game. I had the Packers defense, who is the number 1 fantasy defense going into the week. I benched them and picked up the Texans defense because I was like, no, this is going to be a shootout. And lo and behold, it was a shootout. Unfortunately, nobody won. No one wins in a tie, right?
Oh.
And everyone loses. I don't know why we're doing that. Can we go to college overtime and just be done with it? This is the dumbest thing in the NFL besides declaring an onside kick. But this game, this is like one of those games where Jets at home 0-4. If they drop to 0-5 in front of their home crowd, it is going to be I don't even know what they do from there. The season's over. They're not that, they're look, it would be their third 0-5 start in the past 30 years. For comparison, the Ravens 1-2 start ties the worst in franchise history. Think about that. This is the Jets going on their 5th time in the last 30 years. Like, they have to figure out what it is, but I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I think the offense is better. I picked up Justin Fields. I'm going to have him at quarterback this week with Lamar out, but I think Justin Fields is going to get you a good game, good fantasy numbers, but overall that hasn't translated into the Jets offense being good. Get Breece Hall involved, get Garrett Wilson involved, like find a way to get your best players involved in the game. But overall, I just have more faith in the Cowboys right now because Cowboys can score 40. The Jets can't, period.
Yeah. Honestly, that's exactly what I'm going with. I'm going with the Cowboys to actually score big points against the Jets. The Jets defense is not good. The Jets offense is not good. They're not clicking. Nothing in the Jets side right now is clicking. And Aaron Glenn is like a madman, just like, what can I do to get this team on track? And it's going to take the rest of this season really to figure out for Aaron Glenn to see who can I replace? What scheme can I run? This, and that. What's the draft going to offer, right? He's got this entire season to figure that out. They're not going to fire him after this year. They're not going to fire him after next year. But if he improves with the moves that he's going to make, then maybe the Jets moving forward can be better. But right now, it is just an absolute, like, just, I don't know, house on fire right now. And Aaron Glenn's in there with a bucket trying to put out the fire, and it's not going to work.
Gasoline in the bucket.
Yeah, and it's mixed with gasoline in there, 100%. So I think the Cowboys are going to come in, and you talked about George Pickens, and him and Dak seem to be on like a very, very good terms offensively, I guess I would say, because he's getting them the ball. George Pickens is delivering. He's getting big catches. He's getting touchdowns. Like you said, I think we definitely undervalue George Pickens going to the Cowboys, and they finally got somebody, on the other side of CeeDee Lamb, even though he's been injured. But they finally got a number 2 that can be an actual number 2. And obviously they got no drama. No drama. Yeah, no AJ Brown type of stuff. Even DK Metcalf we talked about last year. Like we're not hearing much of anything there. So
like he took the opportunity to redefine himself, and he took it serious.
And maybe George Pickens is benefiting from your Daks, from your CeeDee Lambs, from your Fergusons, from some of those guys on the offensive line on the Cowboys that have been there a long time and being like, look, man, this is how we got to do it. And if there's anything that you're not going to do, then we don't want you here. And maybe that's a conversation they had. They're all grown men. So we'll see what happens. But the Cowboys offense looks much better. And their defense didn't look terrible against the Packers. Like if you can build on those defensive wins, I think you're going to do a really, really good job against the Jets. Yeah, they're in New York, but I'm taking the Cowboys to win.
Yeah, the Jets have allowed 25 points in every game this season. They're the only team in the NFL to do that. Next up, we got the Dolphins, who I was just talking so nicely about, going to Carolina to take on the Panthers, who I got to say, this is my disappointing team of the year so far. I felt like the Panthers were going to be better. I really did.
Yeah.
I'm really thrown off. Dave Canales, he likes to look at a lot of the injuries when asked what contributes to this 1-3 record. Maybe it'll be Jimmy Horn Jr. who is going to play for the first time after being a scratch the first 4 games, the wide receiver out of Colorado.
Yeah.
Or maybe it'll be starting Xavier Legette after missing 2 games with the hamstring. Something's got to get the offense going again, because we saw what they can look like late last year when Bryce Young's playing at a high level. And you could say the same thing on the other side of the football. Now, going into Monday Night Football, I couldn't believe it. But Darren Waller, anytime touchdown, was plus 500. I was like, oh, my God, how could you not? His first game back, he's like, that's what he's there for, to be a red zone target. Of course.
Yeah.
He had 2 touchdowns in the first half.
Wow.
It was awesome. I made money. Tua,
nice.
He's got a total QBR of 19, 33rd, averaging 6.3 yards per attempt, 25th when facing zone coverage. And the Panthers, they use zone coverage 68.8% of the time. The defensive coordinator, Evero, for the Panthers is going to be a head coach. Mark my words. He is one of the best coaches in the NFL. And if he's not a head coach in the next 3 years, remind me that I was wrong, but I won't be. The Panthers are going to play good defense. They don't have a lot of talent, but that's what Evero is so good, is just getting the most out of what he's got. The Panthers wide receiver, T-Mac, he's going to catch multiple passes of 15 yards, score a touchdown. He's becoming one of the most reliable wide receivers in the NFL, period, this year. And imagine a world where the Panthers don't draft him first round, right? I mean,
this looks way worse.
This looks so much worse. Tyreek Hill, of course, broke his leg in a terrible, twisted, gross manner. And now, give me the Panthers.
Oh, man, this is a tough one because the Dolphins did just beat the Jets, and all the bad things about the Panthers are just like, okay, the Panthers are bad, but like you said, Ted McMillan is the best thing to happen to the Panthers since Jake Delhomme 20 years ago. I don't really know, or Cam Newton, I should say. But the Panthers got Chuba Hubbard out. Their tight end is out. Two of their tight ends are out. This is such a tough one. The Dolphins look like crap. I don't like anything about him. I don't like Tua. I don't like Jalen Waddle. Darren Waller seems to be the only thing that's sparking any sort of offensive output after last week. And that was his first game this season. That was week 4. And their defense, again, they did okay against the Jets, but it's also the Jets. So I don't know. I don't really know how much value to put into that. Part of me wants to go Dolphins, but part of me wants to go with the home team in the Panthers. This is going to be like a do not touch it game. I guess I got to go with the home team. I guess I'm going with the Panthers too.
Yeah. And since the Dolphins acquired Tyreek Hill, 76% of Tua's completions and 82% of his wide receiver yards have gone to Hill or Waddle. In the only one game that Miami's played without Hill during that span, Jalen Waddle caught 8 passes for 142 yards and a touchdown. So they have leaned on Waddle but we only got one game to see. But we'll see. I mean, if you got Waddle on your fantasy, maybe flex him this week. I wouldn't bench him.
Regardless, take the under in this game.
Take the under. Yeah, that's probably the safest bet if you're going to touch it. But I agree with Rick. Don't. The Giants at Saints. I'm excited about this Giants team right now. Man, I really wish Bill was here for this. I know he would love to see Jackson Dart and everything that he's doing. The way Jackson Dart is commanding the huddle, talking to his team in the post-game speech in the locker room, he's like really just about it. Like he's just got that aura, as the kids call it, right? Like he just got that swagger about him, and I think he makes the Giants feel like they have a chance to win. And that's all that matters, is giving the fans and the team hope. And I think they've completed that. Now think about this. If Jackson Dart goes to New Orleans, and I wrote this down, and wins the game, the Giants are going to return to New York with a 2-2 record, or a 2-3 record, have won 2 in a row with a rookie quarterback. And the rest of the season is actually up for grabs for them. Like that's what's on the line. Yeah. They lose this game, they go to 1-4. Jackson Dart had one good week, but we're back to where we started. This is a major game for the Giants organization as a whole, and maybe even a bigger game for Jackson Dart. Now, the Saints are 0-4. Even if they won a game, I don't think it changes anything in the long run. They got a quarterback who has lost every single start of his career, and he's going on his like 13th, 14th start now. I mean, it's insane.
Jesus.
I'm going to go with the Giants. I mean, why not? I'm going to go with the G-Men and Jackson Dart to go into New Orleans. The defensive line is going to just destroy the Saints. There's going to be multiple interceptions. And just like last week, where the Giants defense had to carry them to the win, and Jackson Dart just has to protect the ball and make, a couple plays. That's what this is going to be. But don't be surprised if the Giants have one of those wins where they actually win by like 27, and all of a sudden you're looking up at your screen and Jackson Dart and everyone's all smiles, and the Giants have hope, and they just demolish the Saints and use them as a tune-up game. I'm excited for this game. I can't believe I'm saying Giants Saints. I'm excited, but Jackson Dart is what did it for me.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm excited too because the Saints defense against Josh Allen that first half of last week, they looked actually decent. Like they were getting to Josh Allen, they were stopping the runs, they were defending the pass pretty well. And obviously, Josh Allen and the Bills second half, they're going to take care of business because they know, hey, we can't lose against the Saints. But you're right, Jackson Dart last week with the Giants, like he was that spark that really got them over the hump of getting that dub, and much better than whatever Russell Wilson has been doing these first 3 weeks. I mean, 3 L's in a row, you bring in Jackson Dart, spark plug, you get the dub, right? So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Jackson Dart. Yes, he had 1 touchdown, he had just 111 yards, but like you said, it's about what he's doing with the team in terms of in the huddle, showing leadership, trying his best to get those tough yardage plays to keep the sticks moving. And speaking of, getting all the yards he can, he had 10 rushes for 54 yards and a touchdown. And that was his first touchdown of his rookie season, was a rushing touchdown. And then he passes a touchdown. So right now, things are trending up in New York with the Giants in terms of Jackson Dart. Cam Scatabo is an absolute wrecking ball as a running back. Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, like these guys are getting some meaningful touches from Jackson Dart. And that defense, what else can you say about that defense? They were able to stop Herbert last week and the Chargers, like for their first win to come against a really good team in the Chargers, like impressive. So I think that defense is going to absolutely kill the Saints. And I think the offense with Jackson Dart is going to be much, much better overall. I don't know why the Saints are being favored. I know they're at home and I know they looked somewhat decent against the Bills. I just don't get it. So I'm going to take the Giants to take a dub in New Orleans.
Yeah, it's getting to that point where it's like, I'll bet on the Saints when they're with Spencer Rattler's not 0-10 outright. And he's 2-8 against the spread as well. It's just awful. Yeah. But our next game, if you weren't on board with that one, you'll definitely be on board with this one. I present to you Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield hitting the road, going to Seattle, the Pacific Northwest, where the weather is starting to turn, right? Starting to rain a lot more. It's getting dark. Is it getting dark?
It's getting dark. It's getting cold, and like you said, it's getting rainy.
And it's getting rainy. And this is Seattle. This is different than Tampa. Where last week Tampa was at home and it was 106 degrees. It was like actually that hot. I'm not kidding. Yeah. Now they're going all the way to Seattle. So just going into a different world altogether. Baker Mayfield's been incredible, and he's easily been the most fun quarterback to watch this year. And in my opinion, he's making a real case for MVP. Now, the actual MVP odds don't reflect that, but that's the way I feel about it, because Baker Mayfield has gone out there playing against really tough opponents every single week. I can't think of one cookie cutter game he's played yet. Maybe Atlanta, but that's a division rival. And even with all the injuries, Mike Evans gone. You had Chris Godwin, just coming back last week. Bucky Irving's out this week. It's been really tough for the Buccaneers, but the Bucs have just continued to score touchdowns. Unfortunately, they continue to surrender touchdowns on the first possession of their first 4 games. So that's kind of like the Seattle Seahawks. You're looking at that thinking that they're going to come out and get ahead, and then Baker's supposed to be Superman. It's like what Buffalo did with Josh Allen for so many years, where they were just like leaning on him to find a way to get it done. And Baker's been able to do that, but I think they got to start faster offensively. I think they have to be the aggressor, not wait until it gets chippy, until they get hit in the mouth. They got to come out swinging, and that's actually not me. That's an exact quote from Baker Mayfield, which I completely agree with. Now, Mike McDonald said that the Seahawks, Mayfield's probably the best quarterback in the NFL right now in terms of extended play situations. So that's something you have to deal with, but he also plays on time. I gotta go with Baker Mayfield. I know it's crazy, but Baker Mayfield, I love him. The Oklahoma Boomer Sooner, baby. Give me the Buccaneers to get the win on the road to the Seahawks.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I you know me, like this whole season, and really ever since he got onto the Bucks, and I mean even back when he was at the Chargers, we were like, Baker is still a really good quarterback, and he's showing it still in 2025. And to Browns fans just being like fuck. But regardless, he's killing it with the Bucks. He's been doing really well this season too, and like you said, MVP talks. While the odds don't necessarily reflect it, I think on at least MVP of the Tampa Bay Bucks. Like at minimum, like it's that guy. Him and Igbuka are like up there right now. But they're going into Seattle against a very, very tough defense, scoring wise as well. The Seahawks, I think, are number 3 in terms of scoring defense. Yes, it's only been 4 weeks, but I think that's a good enough sample size to really start talking about where they rank in the NFL. So the Seahawks, again, at home, they got a top 5 scoring defense. The Bucks let up a lot of touchdowns, like you said. They'll be in games, and that is on the arm of Baker and on the legs of Bucky Irving. But the Seahawks defense can really clamp down on you if they need to. And I think at home, with the way Sam Darnold and JSN are kind of, building that connection now, and even Torrey Horton Jr., who's another wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks, who had an amazing game 2 weeks ago. I forget exactly what he did against the Cardinals, but they ended up winning that game. Like they've got some weapons now that are really starting to emerge. So I'm going to take the Seahawks. I'm obviously a little biased because I am in the Seattle area. I'm going to take the Seahawks to win this one at home. I love the Bucks. I love Baker. I think Ibuka is going to cause problems for that secondary for the Seahawks, but I think this is going to be like a 30-27, 28-27 win for the Seahawks. The defense kind of clamps down again in those big moments and come out with a win at home in Seattle. Seahawks win.
Yeah, and we'd mentioned the Bucks struggling early in first quarter yards per attempt. Seattle's number 1 in the NFL. So they're also number 1 in like 20-yard throws. So Sam Darnold, one of the reasons they brought him to Seattle was to push the ball downfield. And you're starting to see Seattle, one of the best teams at throwing 15, 20-yard completions at a time. Right now, the offense is really rolling, and Seattle looks like they could be legit, like better than they've been in, I don't know, like the last 7 years. So things are looking really good. Everybody from Baltimore knew that when Mike McDonald left Seattle, that Seattle was going to be in good shape for a long time. This, I think, is kind of like his come out season as one of the top coaches in the league. So I love everything going on in Seattle. I'm just riding with Baker because I just like the way he's playing football, and he's just fun to lean on in an underdog. If you got to go for an underdog, like who's better to go for? But totally I get the Seahawks pick. I think it's a good pick. The Titans, 0-4 going to the Cardinals. I'm not even going to spend a ton of time on this because the Titans are 0-4. Their defense will do its best to, keep Kyler Murray from breaking off long runs. But Kyler Murray hasn't really been doing that anyway. The Cardinals, their last game was on Thursday night 2 weeks ago when they lost to who did they lose to? Seattle.
It was the Seahawks last week.
Yeah. And they were saying in the press conference, like the way they were all talking was like their season was over, and it was like, guys, you're 2-2. Like, but it's because like they haven't been able to really get anything going. Like it's a bad 2-2. Murray's trying to keep his head down and focus on, the present with the state of the Cardinals offense, which has just continued to struggle. 7 of its past 8 quarters, they've struggled to move the ball and score any points. So this is going to be one of those games where the Cardinals are going to have an opportunity at home to get right against a team that everybody has been able to take advantage of. Arizona's 7.5-point favorites. I think that's a little hefty. I've been backing Cam Ward a lot this year, and I've really been an idiot for it because every single week I'm wrong. Cam Ward's been sacked NFL high 17 times, and I was asking my uncle about it because he works with Titan fans, and he said everybody's been like, I don't get it. Cam Ward's looking so good. I don't know why it's not working. And he's like, because everyone around him sucks.
That's not wrong.
It's like they got to burn it all down and they can keep the quarterback. But besides that, like it's all got to be burnt down. And it sucks because maybe their head coach is like not to blame for all this, but Tennessee's just in a rough place this year.
Yeah, Tennessee's in a super rough place, and everyone around them may suck, but through 4 weeks, Cam Ward's been sacked 17 times. That is 4 sacks per game on average, right around there. It's a rough time for Cam Ward right now, whether that's his offensive line, whether those are quarterback sacks. Like he's trying out there, right? Because he is really, really good when it gets to time in the pocket and throwing the ball to his receivers. His receivers have let him down a lot, and we've talked about that. So I don't know what needs to happen, but I mean, he said it himself. He's like, look, we're ass right now. We need to be better. And he said that at a press conference. He said, we're straight ass right now. So Cam Ward knows what the issues are, and it's just the team not gelling right now. But the defense, like you said, they're up there. They're decent defense. I don't know. This Cardinals team too is like, you can get a lot of production from McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. And Kyler Murray can also, get you those games where you're like, oh my God, we're in this game, right? And then he can also lose you those games in that same game where you're like second, third quarter, and Kyler's like getting the ball down to McBride, running it himself, getting first downs. And you're like, oh my God, we can do this. And then in that same game, he's going to ruin it for you. And the Cardinals, I like their defense. Calais Campbell is actually doing really well for the Cardinals right now. Again, we know that they're a little bit on the older side, but they are performing. I mean, they kept the Seahawks to a 3-point win last week on Thursday Night Football, and they're getting a little bit more rest too. I got to take the Cardinals. I think the Titans offense is going to let Cam Ward down again. And I think Cardinals are just a more complete team versus and I say that with a grain of salt, they're just a more complete team than the Titans right now. And they're like kind of a little bit more level on all sides. So I'm going to take the Cardinals to win at home. But yeah, 7.5, no way. That's too big a spread.
Yeah, and the Titans are 3-18 against the spread under Brian Callahan, the worst record for any coach in the Super Bowl era.
Jesus.
Yeah, Commanders 2-2 at Chargers 3-1. This is a 4:25 game on Fox. This should be a good one. I mean, look, the Chargers, I thought, let one slip away. I don't think they should have lost to the Giants. And if they played again tomorrow, I would pick the Chargers. And I would probably pick them 10 out of 10 times this year. But I would have been wrong one, and that was last week. The Commanders, their defense, they just continue to give up explosive plays. They have allowed an NFL worst 28 plays of 15 yards or more. And this could be an opportunity for Justin Herbert, who ranks 11th with 20 passes of at least 15 yards, to push the ball downfield. I like what I'm seeing from Quentin Johnston. I like what I'm seeing from the weapons they have. I think the Chargers get back to business against the Commanders team. And keep in mind, Jaden Daniels, he's not playing. You can go through it. It's okay.
No, I heard he is playing. Yeah, I heard he's good to play.
Oh, is he playing?
Yeah, I just saw it on CBS, if I'm not mistaken, that Jaden Daniels was cleared to play.
Okay. So Jaden Daniels playing.
He's cleared.
That's definitely gonna give the Commanders a better shot. Unfortunately, it's not gonna change my pick because the Chargers are coming off of a loss. They're going to be at home. And I just think the Chargers are a better football team right now. They're 2.5-point favorites. I think I would even do the -2.5. I think they win this game by like 3.
Ooh, okay. I like that. Yeah, the Jaden Daniels thing is going to be huge for the Commanders. You finally get him back. Mariota's had like decent games, but he's also had like awful decision making in those games in certain parts, whether that be the fourth quarter or like even early in the game. You're like, all right, Mariota, what the fuck? But they are getting Jaden back. Terry McLaurin, I'm not too sure on his status yet, but he's still nursing an injury. You still got Debo. The offense should be good. It's the defense that you got to worry about with the Commanders, it seems like. The only guy that seems to be very good, according to Commanders fans, is Darren Payne, their defensive tackle. Sandra still is struggling. That entire secondary is struggling. Even when you get to their linebackers, it's been a struggle. And if you're the Chargers at home, you're Justin Herbert. You're third, fourth in the league in passing yards right now, and you're primed as an MVP candidate right now through the first 4 games. I think you're going to take advantage of that. And they, with Quentin Johnston, with Ladd McConkey, even though he hasn't really been as good as Quentin Johnston, which is crazy to even say that right now. they've got some offensive weapons, man. And then Kyron Williams is another monster running back. It's like
Marion Hampton has broke out as a top 3 running back in
what?
fantasy. Like for the last 2 weeks, he's got like 64
Wow.
points. I mean,
Wow.
they are leaning on him, and he is not disappointing.
Yeah, and Quentin Johnson is top 5 in terms of receiving yards. Kyron Williams 4th in rushing yards. Like, and then Omarion Hampton, you just mentioned too. Like, those are like great offensive weapons to have 3 out of those 4 guys in the top 5 of passing, receiving, and rushing yards. Like, that offense is scary. And again, the fact that they lost the Giants was just insane. But I think with the Commanders are like not feeling themselves right now. If they can get a win against the Chargers and get them to 3-2, I think that is one of those like games that really gets your trajectory back on track if you're the Commanders, from last year with the NFC Championship game. But I'm taking the Chargers in that offense, man. And that defense is still good. I think they're going to have Jaden Daniels running for his life. I wouldn't be surprised if they are bringing in an extra running back, an extra tight end to block for Jaden Daniels, because again, you don't want this guy hurt. This is your franchise quarterback. You don't want an RG3 to happen all over again with the Commanders. So they're going to be protecting him at all costs. And if you got to bring in Mariota, garbage time play, bring him in. But I got the Chargers to win this game. I like the spread on this -3.5. I think they can win by more than that.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Jaden hadn't been playing good before his injury.
Yeah.
He had a rough game against the Packers, and then he wanted to come back. And they asked him in the press conference, like, how do you feel about not being able to play? And he was like, talk to the coaching staff, basically. Like, I want to play. So I think they've been very conservative with the way they've been protecting Jaden Daniels. Of course, they don't want another RG3 to happen.
Yeah.
So I do think he's healthy, but we haven't seen him play like we saw last year. So maybe I don't know how much of a boost it gives them because we haven't seen him play good yet. So keep that in mind, but we'll see how he does against this tough Chargers team on the road. Next, we got the Lions at Bengals. This is our final 4:00 game. The Lions are obviously going to be my pick. We'll get that out of the way. An emotional homecoming for David Montgomery. He's playing in his hometown for the first time in his NFL career. Nice. I'm going to go anytime touchdown, David Montgomery. Yeah. I think they're going to try to get him 1, maybe 2. He attended Mount Heathly in a high school in Ohio where he earned all-state honors as a dual threat quarterback. He was coming off a season low 12 rushing yards with 9 carries against Cleveland. But he'll get back on track. And it's funny, I just told somebody before last week, you got to play David Montgomery every week if you have him on your fantasy team. Like, he should never be on your bench. And then he went out and had 12 yards on 9 carries. And I'm like, okay, that's not going to happen again. I think he's going to kill it. I honestly think he might have 140 rushing yards in this game. And the Bengals, look, Denver struggled to rush the ball. Right, they just got their first 100-yard rusher since Latavius Murray was the last time. Sean Payton, his whole era, we didn't have one running back rush for 100 yards, and against the Bengals, we did. So the Lions are gonna the spread's at 10.5. That's an easy Detroit -10.5 pick for me. I think they could win this game at least 17 points, like very easily. Oof. The only reason I wouldn't bet more is because I think the Lions pull all their starters by the 4th quarter.
I can honestly see that. Jake Browning, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, they're just not doing it. They're not doing it. Offensively, they can't get anything going. The offensive line is not good enough. Jake Browning is definitely not good enough. I'm going to take the Lions to absolutely destroy these guys too, especially after what the Broncos did to them last week. And even them at home, again, 10.5 spread. I kind of like it, although honestly, I probably wouldn't bet it because any given Sunday. But I like the Lions to beat the Bengals. I think they're going to do it convincingly. So yeah, I'm taking the Lions to win.
All right. Then we got the Patriots at Bills Sunday Night Football. The Patriots are 2-2. The Bills are 4-0. This game, how Denver and the Eagles is like an opportunity for the biggest win in Knicks' career. This is what Drake May is being presented with right now. A Patriots team that's 2-2. And there's a lot of metrics that actually back up Drake May's playing style as one of the best this year. Numbers wise, he's pushing the ball down the field. He's not making a ton of mistakes. Like, the Patriots lost against Steelers, but they had 2 fumbles inside the 5-yard line, both by Ramondre Stevenson. They pushed him down the depth chart because of that. They went with the rookie out of Ohio State, Trayvon Henderson. And what did he do? He had like an insane game last week to basically take that job away from the guy they just paid, a 3-year, 4-year deal 1 year ago. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, well, that's a good problem to have. You got 2 great running backs. You got a good rookie quarterback. I still need some more weapons. Diggs went on the podium and said he gives them, I think it was a 5 out of 10. And he says that the offense is still learning and still adapting. And I wanted to save this point for this game. A lot of times teams start off, and especially Sean, if you look at Sean Payton's record in September, he's 500. But if you look at his record in October, he's one of the best coaches in NFL history. Usually doesn't lose at all. And that's because his playbook there's so much terminology going on that the first month of the season, like, you're still trying to learn it all. The offense is coming out of the huddle. It's taking a little more time. It's the machine is not running the way, intended. By the time you get to October, especially for guys like Stephon Diggs, who came from a different place, I think the Patriots are one of those teams that's going to continue to improve through October. This is a tall task going against Buffalo on the road in primetime. I don't know if you saw the uniforms, but I made a short about it. They're going to be debuting their Nike, what is it called? White. So it's kind of like the Miami Heat white hot uniforms. It's Cold front, yeah. So that's the only reason I'm wanting to go Bills. Those look
sick.
There's certain uniforms you can't lose in. The Broncos Orange Crush uniforms. This is like one of those where you can't go out in prime time at home and wear this and lose to the Patriots. But I'm gonna pick it that they do. I'm going with the Patriots to upset the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen goes down on primetime in what will be a statement win for the Patriots, Mike Vrabel and Drake May. And they are going to say, this division, you're not running away with. Patriots win this game. The Bills only have a 1-game lead. They lose, and the Patriots are 2-3, and the Bills are 5-0. This is a massive fork in the road, and I think the Patriots get it done in a major upset in a last-second field goal.
You said at the beginning that you were going to have some shockers, and this is definitely one of them. Patriots taking down the Bills. Dude, I just saw the uniforms. Bills by 100. Those uniforms are sick. Those uniforms are so sick. And Josh Allen then in that is going to look 10 miles per hour faster. So that's just a fact. And if you don't believe me, I don't care. But the Bills at home in those uniforms, oh, dude, they're going to make the Patriots their bitch. I can see why you want the Patriots to win. And they're going to be like a game back if they do win this game against the Bills. They'll be 3-2. Bills will be 4-1. They'll be a game back if they can do this in the division standings. I just can't bet against Josh Allen. I've seen what Drake May's done this year, and he's literally building on what he did last year. So it's not only improved, but it keeps getting better, I think. And once you got more weapons, once you have a better, I don't know if their offensive line is really that bad, but maybe some tweaks there for Drake May. I think the Patriots can really go on another run, especially with Mike Vrabel there at head coach. I think they can get up there in terms of NFL's elite. But right now, they've been struggling. They're 2-2. I still believe in Mike Vrabel. Drake May looks good. I think their offense can be one of the better units too, as long as those guys and even Ramondre Stevenson too can continue to build on what they were doing. But the Bills are just a force. I think the Bills defense is going to let up a lot of points in that first half and then really buckle down in that second half. Maybe even the fourth quarter it takes them till. But I think the Bills are going to take this dub at home on Sunday Night Football. This is going to be a fun one to stream though, for sure. So I'm taking the Bills.
It is. And the only game that's going to be more fun is maybe Monday Night Football, which is our final game of week 5. The Chiefs at Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of research this week on the Jaguars, and I might be the first one to say this, but the Jacksonville Jaguars are a very good team right now. They have a lot of room for improvement, but Liam Cohen, it all starts with him, right? When he went from the Rams to Tampa Bay was actually 32nd in the NFL in rushing yards per game. They were the worst rushing team in the league. And then 1 year later, they're 5th in Liam Cohen's first year. The Jaguars are 3rd in the NFL right now in rushing yards per game. Travis Etienne has turned into be an amazing running back, and this is by far the best running back the Chiefs have played this season, and that even includes Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, because Etienne has 394 rushing yards, the 3rd most in the league. So the thing is Liam Cohen has Jacksonville running the football exceptionally well, and because of that, Jacksonville has found a way to win 3-1 in not a fluky way. I said last week, my upset of the week, Jacksonville is going to go to Santa Clara and beat the 49ers. And don't be shocked when they do it. And that's exactly what they did. They're coming off a big win that I think people had to take a step back and say, what is Jacksonville doing that's causing them to win 3 of their first 4 games, and is any of this repeatable? And when you're running the football at a top 3 level, of course you can do that every single week. That's not a fluke. That's not like you had one 500-yard passing game and it bolstered the stats. The Jaguars are doing this on a weekly basis. So I think Jacksonville, and I said it when the offseason happened, I was like, Liam Cohen's my favorite coach in this cycle. When Jacksonville got him, I was like, Jacksonville is going to be a playoff team. And this is hard for me because the Chiefs are coming off their first game where they looked like the Chiefs. I mean, that was the first time I saw Mahomes look like Patrick Mahomes in a very long time. And it was because they got Xavier Worthy back. Somebody that really has a deep threat. He was throwing the ball down the field. They destroyed the Baltimore Ravens, absolutely crushed them. And because of that, I'm tempted to go with the Chiefs here, but I'm going to go with Duval at home, Jacksonville. I mean, the fans are going to show up for this game. They know that this is a massive game, and Jacksonville's not like, Chicago, New York, Miami, where there's a lot of really cool shit going around. Like being on primetime TV against a team like the Chiefs, this is one of the more exciting things going on this year in Jacksonville. I expect the fans to show up in a huge way. And I think that this is going to be a game that comes down to the final wire. And remember when they beat the Chargers in the divisional round? It was actually the wild card round, and they ran a misdirection to ETN. And it put him in field goal range for the game-winning field goal. I'm going to call Jacksonville running a misdirection on a 4th down when they're tied late in the game to set them up for the game-winning field goal all over again. But instead of the Chargers, it's the Chiefs.
Wow. Kyle's picking the Jags on Monday Night Football. Another exciting game. I like this one too, because like you said, right? Crafty in the chat. What's up, Crafty? There's a lot of things that the Jaguars are doing well, and rushing is one of them. Points scored on defense is another one, and the rushing defense is another one, right? They're pretty low on the list defensively in terms of passing yards per game. But points scored, like that is huge. I mean, that defense is holding up when it matters. They've got an average right now of 18 points given up per game. I think their highest was 26, and that was an away game. So their defense at home is stopping teams from scoring. And I mean, this is the John Madden quote, but in order to win the game, you've got to be able to score more points than the other team. And that's what Jacksonville is doing at home, especially on average so far 4 weeks of 18 points. That's a good defense. And if they can really run the ball on Kansas City, oh, dude, this might be not necessarily a blowout, but this is going to be a game going into the fourth quarter where you're like, yeah, I think the Jaguars are going to win. But you mentioned Xavier Worthy coming back for that Chiefs offense, and it was perfect. Like that's exactly what they needed to kind of reinvigorate their offense. And Jaguars, in terms of passing yards, are down there, so I think they're going to be able to take advantage of that. I think the Chiefs are actually going to beat the Jaguars in this one, but I wouldn't doubt that it is going to be a very close game. I think it might be like a 23-20, 21-20 type of game where it is less than 3 points. The winner comes out, but I'm picking the Chiefs to win this one against the Jaguars on Monday night. And Kyle, what is that going to lead us into? What is that going to lead us into? The
top five, no debating. Top five.
All right, top five, Kyle.
Top five.
And we're going to go first. We're going to give you all 5 of our teams. Kyle's going to go first with all 5 of his, and then I am going to go with all of mine. So Kyle, go right ahead, brother.
All right. At number 5, I got the Los Angeles Chargers coming off of a loss to the Giants. Sunday was kind of a continuation of the norm for the Chargers, who've been struggling to protect Justin Herbert. The Giants had a pass rush win rate 68%. And keep in mind, Joe Alt is dealing with an injury. He's questionable, and they lost Rashawn Slater for the year. And that's probably why Herbert's been hit 47 times this season, which is the second most in the NFL. But even with all of that, the Chargers, Ladd McConkey, the big jump we saw from Quentin Johnston, Herbert's at an all-time level, Harbaugh's top coach. The Chargers are going to be here all year. Like, they're not going anywhere. So get used to it. Chargers at 5. Number 4, I got the Rams. The Rams are 19 for 47 on third down this season, which is 14th in the NFL. The thing is that we would have the Rams a lot higher if they held on to their 26-6 lead over the Eagles. Yeah. But instead, they let the Eagles come back and steal one when they were up 20 points in that game in the second half. The Rams, even with that was their only loss of the season, and they're coming off a win against an undefeated Colts team who have been statistically the best offense in the NFL going in. And they were able to hold them to 20 points. Jared Verse, who I said in the beginning of the year, he's going to put himself in that TJ Watt category by the end of the year. He's doing it already. Strip sacks on final drives, making the type of plays that wins you Defensive Player of the Year. The Rams are a team that is going to be maybe the conference championship. At 3, I'm going with the Detroit Lions. They're running the football really well. It feels like we are years removed from the Packers beating the Lions in that opening week. They're getting Jameson Williams more involved. He's kind of being that top deep threat down the field. Jared Goff didn't have that against Cleveland. Now you're seeing him being targeted by Goff 8 times. He's only caught 2 passes of those 8 so far. So I think you want to see him getting more involved, but I like the direction they're headed that way. And they are the best team when they're running the football, when they are going downhill. You got Jahmyr Gibbs on a choice route against the linebacker. Yeah. And then you give it to frickin' Montgomery, and he's having 140 yards rushing. This team is unstoppable when they're playing at their best, and they look like the version of them that we saw last year before Aiden Hutchinson got hurt. I think the Lions are a real deal again. They lost both their coordinators. It's not a problem. Number 2, I got Buffalo. Buffalo beat the Saints 31-19 in their week 4 power ranking. I had them at 2 as well. They've been very consistent. Consistency has been Buffalo's biggest issue at times, but I think what we're seeing lately is like, you know what you're going to get when Buffalo plays, and James Cook is running the football extremely well. Josh Allen and James Cook. I think I actually had written down a couple metrics here for the Lions, and it was, I don't have it right now, but it's like they're first in the NFL in rushing. Okay, I don't know how many yards it is per game, but the Lions are running the football better than any team in the NFL right now. I'm sorry, the Buffalo Bills are running the football. Part of that, of course, is Josh Allen, but the other part of it is James Cook is having an insane year again, and he might actually end up leading all running backs when it's said and done. That's why this would be a huge win for New England this week. But of course, everyone and their mother's picking Buffalo, and Buffalo is going to be 5-0 potentially. And it's just another season of Josh Allen being the MVP frontrunner and the Bills being undefeated and being the number one seed potentially. Things are looking great because there's really not a team that's close to Buffalo. You look at the Chargers, who aren't far behind, but Buffalo feels way more advanced than them. And then you got the Chiefs and the Ravens, who typically would be competing for this number one seed. None of those teams are 500. So Buffalo is kind of running away in the AFC. And number one, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles have won 20 of their last 21 football games. I shouldn't even have to say anything else. It looks like, or how many points. It hasn't been sexy the way they're winning football games. They don't. The Saquon Barkley they had last year, their offensive line is not providing the holes that they did last year, but the defense is keeping them in games. Hurts is protecting the football. When they're down 26-6, Jalen Hurts can bring you back into the game and win it. The Buccaneers, after beating the Rams, these are really good opponents, and they got another test this Sunday, but until someone else knocks off the Super Bowl defending champions, Jalen Hurts, I know people don't even think he's a top 5 quarterback, but they at least acknowledge the Eagles are number one team in the league. So I'm going to go in and agree with the world. I think we all agree the Eagles are the best team in the NFL. Yeah,
they're definitely up there. And again, like you said, defending champs. For myself, at number 5, I'm going to stick with the Colts here. They lost against the Rams. Yeah, I know they lost against the Rams. And, I'm going to reference Crafty's comment here. The Rams didn't beat the Colts. AD Mitchell did. I mean, you let go of the ball before you cross the goal line. You don't come up with big catches. You fumble. It was I think there was
a holding penalty.
The holding penalty.
70-yard Jonathan Taylor touchdown that would have won me my fantasy week.
So Kyle's,
with the holding penalty.
Kyle's got some beef with AD Mitchell too. And really, like, if those things happen, is it a different game? I think so, but it didn't happen that way. AD Mitchell completely screwed everything up that he was supposed to do that game. And Colts fans probably hate him right now. So I've got the Colts at 5 because of an individual that really lost in the game against the Rams, really. But the Rams came out with a win. That's all that matters. People make mistakes. You got to take advantage. The Rams did. But the Colts are going to be my team at number 5. At number 4, I've got the Chargers. They lost again against the Giants, and it was bad. It's a rookie quarterback making his first start. You've got a really good defense, and he's able to beat you, and the offense looked really bad against that defense against the Giants. The Giants have a really good defense. Let's not take anything away from them. But Herbert, if you're going to be in MVP consideration, like I was talking about earlier, these are the moments where you really got to step up against a much weaker team overall. Yes, you're only playing their defense, but you've got to be able to find the holes in that defense and get it to your Quentin Johnsons, your Ladd McConkeys, your Kyron Williams. And unfortunately, they couldn't do that at the end there in that fourth quarter against the game. Both them and the Colts moved down in my rankings here. At number 3, making their, I believe, first or second appearance on my top 5. Actually, their first is going to be the Lions. We saw what happened week 1, but weeks 2, 3, and 4 since then have been Lions that we know the last 2 years. They are killing you offensively. They are killing you defensively with their grit. That's just who the Lions are. And like you mentioned, did they lose their 2 coordinators? Yes. Did they skip a beat? They didn't. Again, that week one, like you said, is years ago. It seems like against that Packers team that they lost to, and they've just been getting better and better and better every week. Have they gone against some weak teams? Yeah, but like you said earlier, you're supposed to beat the bad teams. Whether you do that convincingly or not, you still got to beat them. So the Lions at number 3 for me. At number 2, I've got the Eagles. I've got the Eagles up there. Eagles are 4-0, undefeated. They've had some tough games. Their schedule alone. What's that?
About to be 4-1.
Possibly about to be 4-1. Kyle saying 4-1. But they've played a tough schedule and they've come out with wins. Whether or not the offenses look good, they've come out with wins. And good teams do that, man. They can make up for lapses in offensive output, the defense, what have you. Like whatever issues they're having internally, they're still able to put a winning product on the field. And that's what keeps you up there in the standings. And that's what's going to keep you going throughout the season into the playoffs. So the Eagles are number 2. For me, my number 1 team, another undefeated team. Kyle thinks they're going to lose on Monday night or Sunday Night Football, but I've got the Bills at number 1, and they're going to do it in style in week 5 against the Patriots in their cold front uniforms. The Bills at number 1. You mentioned it, James Cook rushing. Like the rushing attack has been insane with James Cook and Josh Allen. The passing hasn't been great. Keon Coleman, Shakur hasn't been great, which is like the complete opposite of what we've seen the Bills be 3 years ago. The passing game was electric and the running game wasn't. So now they've kind of flipped the switch here and put the running game really up top first. And when you got a guy like James Cook and Josh Allen leading it, I mean, you're going to get points on the board regardless. Have they struggled against some bad teams? Sure, but they still come out with wins, and Josh Allen's going to literally force a win for the Bills, and that's what gets them at number 1. So that is our top five there at the bottom on the ticker. Thank you guys so much.
Rick.
And that, yeah.
I was just going to tell everyone really quick, Bucky Irving ruled out with the foot sprain. Braylon Allen for the Jets is going to miss 8 to 12 weeks with a knee injury. McCarthy is out. Wentz is going to start. Hubbard ruled out for the Panthers, and Tyreek Hill went and spoke at the Dolphins facility to speak to the team after his successful surgery. And Noah Fant returns against the Lions from his concussion. So some injury.
There you go. Injury news. And that was
Top 5, no debating. Top 5.
All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate everybody that was here. E-Dub, Lil E, Crafty, Jinja. Thank you guys so much for being here in the chat. We appreciate all the likes. If you haven't hit that like button, make sure to hit that like button on this stream. We would appreciate that. Go follow us on X at Only Football Pod and at NFL with Kyle. For Bill. This is always for Bill, right, Kyle?
Yep. For Bill, always. For Bill. And Jackson Dart maybe gets a big win for him this week. We'll see. Yeah, hopefully, right? Bill would absolutely love that. Thank you guys again so much. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that follow button. Like the stream. Share it. Tell a stranger about it. We would really appreciate it. Thank you all again so much for being here with us. And Kyle, always a good time, brother. See you Sunday.